Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Talking Baseball with Sal Angeletti. I am your host, Sal Angeletti, and my co-host.
Arlen McCloskey.
What's going on, buddy?
How are you?
Well, a lot of things going on. We got a calling guest calling in soon. Jonathan Ethel. He's got a big sports memorabilia company, one of the largest hubs. Everybody knows he's coming on tonight. As you can see the screen. The calling number is 609-807-2492. We're coming to you live from Hamilton Radio and Iron Horse Film Studio right here in Robbinsville, New Jersey. And let me tell you something. Things are picking up. Probably proposed MLB season with all these three divisions, East, West, Central, and I think it might work. I don't have to see the Orioles playing the Yankees about 1,000 times. But I'm liking the idea. A lot of people don't. But what do you think?
Now, when did they say it was going to start?
They're looking at end of June, maybe
July 4th week?
July, the week of July 4th, probably the second around that area.
So, I heard today on the radio that they're going to try to cramp a lot of games in June all the way through the end of the year, and their goal is to play max 100 games. 100 games
Yeah, they're gonna try to even if they do double headers, they'll probably do 7 inning double headers. But I'm not sure. But I could see it getting done where it'll probably be something like the Super Bowl.
Okay, so now,
So if the Yankee well, if there's not going to be any fans, and if they slowly do fans, I guess they'll play in a warm weather climate or a dome stadium for the World Series.
so the East will play the Central and the West. They'll play their own division.
Yeah. So what they're doing, from what I'm seeing, you have 3 divisions and 10 teams in each division.
Okay.
For the East, you'll have the Orioles, Red Sox, Pirates, Marlins, Mets, Yankees, Phillies, Rays, Blue Jays, and Nationals. And for the West, you're going to have, of course, all the Western Division teams. And then in the Central, this is where the confusing one is. You got the Braves in the Central.
In the Central?
Yeah, with the Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs, Indians, Reds, Royals, Tigers,
Okay.
Twins, and Sox. Now, if they do something like that, how are they going to do the brackets? I guess 3 division winners, and do you still get your 2 wild cards? I mean, so if it's 3, 6, 9, I guess 9 teams, you get.
You still do the 5 because you have your 3 division winners and the 2 wild cards. So that'll be 5. So that'll be 5 teams. Perhaps. So you have.
Would it have to be an even or an odd number? I don't know.
So what they do is, so it's 3. So each back before they had this, they had the West, the East, the West, the Central. You had American League East, American League West, National League.
Well, yeah, you had 3 divisions, but in 2 you had it in the AL and NL, so you really
also,
had.
You also had 2 wild cards. And
Right.
Yeah, so that's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to have. You're gonna have to have 10 teams still. So you're gonna have to do.
Maybe they could float with one more winner.
I don't know. It's gonna be tough.
That's a Lone Ranger. That's Claude Rains. Like what?
Is it loud enough?
What happened? We got a default. You
Could be. All right.
Want to swing that one over?
Is that a lot better, guys? Okay. Yeah. So they had 5 in American League, 5 in National League. So somehow you're gonna have to get the same 10 teams for the playoffs.
Right.
So I don't know what they're gonna do.
Well, we got a call. Hey, Jonathan, is that you? I can't hear nothing.
I don't know.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, he's
Hey,
on.
what's up, buddy?
He's on.
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just a tad, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's a little fuzzy there, but what's going on tonight? How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good, very good.
All right, everybody. This is how do you pronounce your last name? So I don't.
Entel.
Entel. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jonathan Entel. Let's give him a hand. And welcome to Talking Baseball Live. And Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So, full time, I work for a nonprofit. I'm a sports director down here by the Jersey Shore.
Okay.
And part time, last little over 2 years, I run a sports memorabilia site on Facebook called Mystery Sports Reveals, and all autographed memorabilia, things of that nature.
Not bad. And everything authentic and the whole spiel, right?
Absolutely. All the major guys, PSA, DNA, Beckett, JSA, you name it, Steiner, all authentic.
Now, Jonathan, what part of South Jersey of the Jersey Shore is your communication where you do all your stuff at? What part of the Jersey Shore? What town?
So I recently moved into Freehold.
Okay.
Moved from Red Bank.
Okay.
Had been in Red Bank for many years. When my parents picked up and moved across the country, I felt it was time to find a new place to call home. So Freehold is the place that the business is currently at now.
Okay.
And it was great move for sure. Freehold was a great area to come to.
Now, you buy the Freehold Mall or more into the city of Freehold?
No, Freehold Mall. Freehold Mall, about I'd say less than a quarter of a mile away from the Freehold Mall.
Okay.
Raceway Mall.
Okay.
And Jonathan, when this whole craziness is over, it'd be great to have you live up at the studio if you want. Bring your stuff along with you. We can you could do a live auction here with us. Whatever you do. Now, how did you get into this sports memorabilia thing? What turned you on to it, and how long you been doing it?
So, crazy enough, sports has always been a passion of mine. Obviously, kids as well. But when I was younger, I wanted to be a sports agent. I feel like every kid at some point watched Jerry Maguire and wanted to be involved in sports. A few years back, I was online. I was looking through some sites, and I saw a guy who had done something similar to what I did. And there was so much more that I felt I could do with it. Honestly, I looked at it. It took me a little bit of time. It took me a couple months, wrote some notes down, and just did my homework, really, talked to vendors, things of that nature. And didn't have very much money to my name, but looked at my wife, said I was going to do this idea. And luckily enough, a childhood friend of mine, Andrew, who's who's the co-owner as well, family to me, really, he called me up and just said, listen, man, if this is something you want to do, I think it could work. If you want, I'll do all the back end stuff. And, I called friends and just said, listen, I'm going to need a little bit of help. If you guys can help kickstart it, whatever the case may be. And they all said, yeah, man, we believe in you. And luckily enough, man, it took off. Hard work, effort, love, care, and people believed in it. And, it's just a matter of delivering the best, no matter what, at a great price point for people to believe in. And I think, for over 2 years, especially in a tough business, for sure, where there's a lot of fake stuff going around, a lot of people trying to get involved for the wrong reason. I think it was it's done really, really well. Thank God. So we look forward to many, many more years of success for sure.
Now, is your store still open during this health crisis, or they can buy the stuff online and still you can make your sales?
So actually, everything is done via Facebook currently. We have a website and app almost done. We've been waiting for it for a little bit, but Like I said, God willing, that's done soon. But now everything has been awesome. We've gotten lucky. I think, a lot of people are home. They're looking for entertainment. They're looking for things to do. We've had our clientele for a long time, 3,200 members. Um, and it's really a nightly thing. I'll go live, we interact. And then during the year, just to keep people going, we'll do free giveaways. We'll do stuff like that, member referral stuff, as well as charities. We worked with Compete for Cancer. Everyone at some point in time has definitely been affected by cancer in some sort of way. Um, the Alley Cloud9 Foundation did that. It was for testicular cancer awareness in men. So we've done, a bunch of different things, working with different organizations along the way to give back. So I think, I think that helped propel us, during the way. Now, with these unprecedented times, I mean, you guys know, everyone's jobs shut down for the most part, unless you're essential.
Right.
And even sports, I mean, what you guys do is really a service for us, talking to us, helping keep our mind off things, really helping us sort of imagine what can be whenever sports come back, So it's definitely a getaway for people. They join, they look at stuff, they see autographs. There's private shows that we'll go to or have stuff done, signings, where last week we did a live Zoom for the NFL draft. And we had a ton of our members on there. We had stuff going. We had a Joe Burrow autograph helmet to a Tonga Vailoa. So
Nice.
as the draft was going on, our the guys and girls who joined us had an opportunity to feel as if they were part of something. So I think that's what this is all about. All of us just trying to find a way. Keep everybody's mind off of it. And Sal said it earlier really well. Where he wrote, just join us to keep your mind off things, and sort of find a way to escape for a few minutes.
Right.
And I think that's what the name of the game is.
When
at this
we
point,
heard
until we
about
can all-
this, right? When we heard about this and we were told stay at home, he took a couple weeks off, and then we've been back on for the last 3 weeks now. We just this is the third week back in the studio, and just
Yep.
an hour just to get away from this, talk about whatever. And last week we were I don't want to go off base, but last week we were talking about the draft, and the Dolphins were on the clock. I said, I think they're going to pick Tua. And when the pick was in, and I nailed it. They picked Tua.
And by the way, you probably felt for at least a few minutes as if everything was gone, right? Your pick's in, you say it, and
Yeah.
it's almost like you hit the lottery, and everyone, all your friends, all your viewers are probably, jumping for joy, and for a few minutes you forgot, that you've been stuck in the house
And
for 5 weeks.
I'm a huge Eagles fan, so when I thought they were 21, they got Jefferson right where they want him after Lamb went to Dallas, and then I hear, Jalen Rieger from TCU. I said, what? Like, man.
Yeah, stunned, man. Listen, I have a pretty big Philly-based clientele also.
Yeah.
Hardcore following. One of my closest friends, season ticket holder for the Eagles, and same thing. First phone call I get is him telling me he thought the Eagles completely messed up their entire draft again. So
Yeah.
I happen to be.
Yeah.
I know you're not going to enjoy this, but
Right,
I happen to be
right.
a Cowboys
And then
fan.
On
So,
Friday night, I was and then on Friday night I was doing something, and I come back into my room. I heard they picked Jalen Hurts. I said, "What?" I said, okay.
Wild. I know. It's, listen, man. It's you don't know though.
Yeah.
Come on. I
Yeah.
mean, we can all speculate. Who knows? And it's the same thing. Listen, with baseball.
Yeah.
Prospects, and I'm unfortunately a Mets fan, and for the last 5 years we've heard the Mets have had the best pitching rotation in baseball, and it's gotten us nothing. So you don't know. Prospects coming up, Harvey and Syndergaard and Matz and you name it, and I mean DeGrom's like the only guy who's worked out, right? So it's you just don't know. Wentz goes down, Hurts steps up.
Yeah. That's the thing.
And Rieger ends up being a stud. Your team looks great.
Yeah.
So,
but back to
who knows?
the Mets before I let Sal tune back in.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the Mets. I think your team's gonna be better than the Phils because I still don't see how the Phils could overmatch. Now with the new divisions coming out, and if they start playing in late June and July now with Boston, but Boston ain't gonna do nothing. But with the Yankees, and that's gonna be tough.
You know what? I'll tell you honestly. I think coaching is huge
Yeah.
in baseball, and I know, and I know now the analytics, blah blah blah. Whatever. As baseball fans, we just like to see baseball. But
Right.
truthfully, I think Girardi. I think Girardi's a stud. He drains every rock of every ounce of blood that it has in it, and you saw that firsthand with the Marlins. And
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. That
that
one year he was
you
with the
guys
Marlins.
really got to
He
see
was the manager of the year, and they fired him.
Yep.
And wait,
Absolutely.
didn't he do that with the Cubs too? Wasn't he?
No, he never managed with the Cubs.
He never managed the Cubs. I
No,
thought he was. Oh,
no.
he was a player. I know he was a player.
Yeah, he was Marlins. Then he got fired, and then right to the Yankees.
I thought he was a manager of the Cubs for some
No.
reason. Okay, it was the Marlins then. All right. Yeah, there's something about Girardi, and like I was saying to Carl here, being he's a Philly fan, I says he's going to get his Yankee boys to come there, and I'm surprised they didn't get Dylan. The Mets wound up grabbing him, which was a good move for the Mets because he can help somebody like Diaz, who's never, I still believe when somebody makes the transition from the American to National League, it's a whole different aspect of a ball game. But like I was telling him, when Girardi gets this kid out in the outfield and up to bat, and you know who I'm talking about, your boy there.
Well, Harper?
He's going to change him.
Yeah.
He is going to be a different player altogether. He's going to be wise at the plate. You'll see him now grow into the mold of Girardi. Because look, just like Joe Torre, they called him Clueless Joe in '96 when he took over the Yankees. They had a lot of veterans and not too many rookies, except for like Jeter and you had Posada and Bernie and them starting to, your core five or core four. And he's going to do that with the Phillies. He's going to take that team back to the contention they once were.
I'll tell you what, I have to reluctantly agree wholeheartly. When the Mets had an opportunity to snatch a manager, in the off season, and we ended up going with Beltran, and we sat on Girardi. Listen, we have the cheapest owners of all time in the history of baseball. So regardless, the guys are in debt; they can't afford to get anybody. And then when somebody comes in to buy them with Steve Cohen, they get greedy. So regardless, Philadelphia has always been a passionate city and always been about winning. Maybe it hasn't happened all that often, but the one thing you can never say about Phillies, they don't try. And it just goes to show you, once again, with the Phillies snatching Girardi, it was win at all costs, get somebody proven, help develop players, and get the most out of the guys you have. And just like you were saying with Harper, he's going to get his hands on Harper, and he's going to make him 10 times better. And, as a Met fan, it's crushing. You look at it and you think to yourself what he could have done with a guy like McNeil or Pete Alonso and J.D. Davis. You look at this Nimmo. You look at the lineup we have, some young guys in key positions, and you think to yourself what a Girardi could have had. So you're lucky, man. I think the sky's the limit for him. Really, the American League's the American League, but we don't have to worry about it until it matters in November. So I think the Phillies are sitting pretty. I wouldn't sleep on them. The Braves are going to be a tough out, but I think right now it's Phillies Braves. That's what I think. I think it's Phillies Braves for the division lead this year.
If you I don't know if you heard before you called in, the Braves are not in the Phillies division this year.
I didn't wait. There was a. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't hear about the shakeup. All I heard was some of the different rules they were going to implement. Time clocks, things like that. But there was a shakeup this year.
Yeah, I'll let Sal tell you.
Oh yes, what's going on is this is the proposed divisions if they come back in the end of June, beginning of July.
And then when he's done, you could give your feedback back to us.
They're gonna have 3 divisions and 10 teams in each division.
Wow.
In the East, you're gonna have the Orioles, Red Sox, Pirates, Marlins, Mets, Yankees, Phillies, Rays, Blue Jays, and Nationals. For the West, you're gonna have the A's, Giants, Angels, Dodgers, Padres, Diamondbacks, Rockies, Rangers, Astros, and Mariners. And in the Central, you're gonna have the Braves, Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs, Indians, Reds, Royals, Tigers, Twins, and Sox.
Wow. That's a big deal. I mean, listen. Now I know what you were saying in the beginning. That's a steep hill to climb. I mean, listen. The Rays are only getting better by the minute. I mean, they have Wandy Franco, right, who's a monster coming up, prospect, probably number 1 in baseball at this point. I'd have to look, but the Red Sox and the Yankees are building a powerhouse. I mean, thank God they're always injured, but they're building a powerhouse. Wow, that's a tough hill to climb. The West is stacked also, right? You said Dodgers, A's.
Yeah, Dodgers,
Angels,
A's,
Astros,
Giants. Yeah.
Angels, Padres, Rockies, Mariners, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, so back to the East. The Phillies got to deal with the Yankees, who won over 100 games last year, and the Nationals, who won the World Series last year. They lost, Rendon to the Angels, but they still have the pitching staff. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Well, I didn't know there's a shakeup. That's a huge. I mean, listen.
Yeah.
For me as a Met fan, I put your team above mine. I'm definitely looking on the outside in. I'm thinking about the teams you said, and I'm thinking Yankees. I don't know how the Red Sox are going to fare this year. I really don't.
The Red Sox,
Yankees,
Red Sox. The Red Sox. I was, I love MLB Network, and I was watching a few things, and I was looking up the Red Sox. Let me tell you, there was a year or two before they won the World Series. They were horrible. They were like 20-something games out of first place.
Right, and also in the East, the Rays, who won the wild card game, and lost to.
Well, they
lost to in Game 5. They lost to Houston.
Right.
So the Rays were good last year too.
Yeah, and it's the Red Sox. Like it's all comes to pitching. So SAL is out.
Yeah, SAL's out for the year.
And you lost Price.
Yeah.
In the trade.
Right.
With the Betts over to the Dodgers.
So I'm already calling Toronto, Baltimore, Boston, and the Pirates out. They're out.
And them all.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be out of those 6, out of the Phillies, Mets, Yanks,
and
Nationals, Mets, and who else?
Yeah,
That's it.
That's your top 5.
That's the top 5.
Well, we predicted in the beginning of the year that during the winter meetings, we said the Mets would definitely make a wild card because I think they're better stacked this year than they were in the previous.
Yeah, I think the Mets. Listen, I think the all season hurt when you pick a manager and then lose them, right? Because the whole scandal. I think it definitely throws off the flow. I was looking forward to seeing Beltran. I mean, for a long time. Listen, he's pretty much the greatest switch hitter of all time, right? So I was looking forward to seeing it. The major leagues is now really predominantly a Hispanic league, and being a manager who can really communicate well with some of the top athletes, top baseball players, in the entire league, no matter what, there's no barrier, language barrier. I think that was a huge help for us. And I think it builds a really nice connection with players, so I was excited to see him. In there. So that's it's a huge blow for sure. I think the Mets have a nice young team. I don't know. Maybe it's me being skeptical as a Mets fan. I don't know if that's what it is. But I think you just hang around. You're cautiously optimistic, and you hope there's no injuries, which we already have with Noah Syndergaard, right? With Tommy John, or the shoulder injury, whatever he's got. So I think you hang in there. You're cautiously optimistic, but you said it, man. I mean, key pieces. The Red Sox lost key pieces with Betts, and it made the Dodgers, a powerhouse. How do they even lose a game with that team? And the Yankees are up top. Red Sox fall down below. It's tough. Do the Mets make the wild card? I hope so. I really do. I hope we're in it. I hope we have a chance. All you need to do is just get into the dance, right? and give yourself some hope. So hopefully, I think the shakeup could be interesting. I don't really know how I feel about it, but if it's proposed, let's see what they have in mind. Listen, change is always the toughest thing, no matter what. So I don't, some of us traditionalists, hate it, but I think as the years go on, you learn to enjoy it. So see what happens.
I got two more questions to throw out, and then you can give us your feedback. The first question is, what do you think about the launch angle with the uppercuts trying to hit the ball out of the park 350 feet every time? And two, when they do start playing again and they're traveling, do you think they're going to do just if the president doesn't ban airports, if he keeps the airports closed, do you think that teams are going to do their own private charters, their own team playing like they used to back in the day, to go to where they have to go to the other parks?
So, two great questions. I mean, the old saying is chicks dig the long ball, right? So I think baseball's funnest years were home runs, seeing guys swing for the fence. I think we grew up watching a lot of home run hitters. I mean, for me, Ken Griffey Jr., probably the sweetest swing of all time. The best year of baseball is when Mark McGwire and Sosa chased the record, and then Bonds beat it with 73, regardless of the asterisks and whatever. I think,
but their averages also were better than what they are now. They were still hitting 300 or 295 or 280 instead of 225 with 30 bombs.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'd rather a guy be on base and help my team. But at the end of the day, if everybody changes, then you hope to have the team that hits the most, right? So, I think 300 hitters is, 300, 320. Listen, the Tony Gwynns of our day are done, So I think it's absurd what baseball players get paid. I mean, let's be serious. Bryce Harper got $330 million to hit 240. So if you're asking me if that's a joke, all on board with that. But then you have the Mickey Mantle of our era with Mike Trout, who hits 320, hits 45 home runs a year, 120 RBIs, and he gets $430 million. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's tough to compare. I'm more of, as I said before, more of a traditionalist. I think 300 hitters, helping your team, getting on base, making things happen, steal a base, which we don't see anymore either. Just moving along and putting yourself in a position to score. So it's tough. It's tough to watch strikeouts. It's tough to watch strikeout after strikeout after strikeout. It's tough. It's tough to watch it.
Back to your scenario with Mr. Trout. He's the best player in the game right now as we speak, but he plays on the West Coast, and no one sees his games because they start at 10 o'clock at night. If he was playing on the East Coast, he'll get more fanfare. He's the best player in the game, but he's only been in the playoffs 1 year, and they're wasting all these years. You don't know what 2 years from now if he has his catastrophic injury and he's done. Pujols is on his way out of the game this year or next year. They got Rendon for 7 years, which is good, but you're wasting Trout's good years because you don't know how much one accident, you're done. Like what happened with Bo Jackson. It can happen. You just don't know.
I was seeing some crazy stats on Mike Trout, and they were comparing him, I think, with Mays and somebody else at the same age. This boy's ahead of the game, and him and Aaron Judge are right now the faces of baseball. They're the new generation. I like how Judge is. He'll definitely be the new Yankee captain sooner or later. I like Harry Carey's the team, and it's weird. And like I said, like I love watching MLB Network and the classic games. And if you look back in the '70s, the Oakland A's, the Cincinnati Reds, and the Yankees were like the teams to beat.
Mm-hmm.
They were the only teams in that era in the '70s to win back. The A's won 3 straight. Then it was the Reds won 2 straight, and the Yankees won 2 straight. Then baseball changed. Here it comes again. The what was it? The strike. One strike was what? 81. 81.
Yeah.
I was at Yankee Stadium freezing my butt off in the upper deck when the Yankees played the Brewers. It was like, yeah, like half the season here, and then the other season started. It was a 1 game, whatever. And then the other strike was what, 94?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is like deja vu all over again. They say, how do we get back to the game?
It's going to be tough.
And then we would complain, all the balls are juiced, and the home runs with McGuire and Sosa would have put the fans in the seat. So it's going to be weird without fans in the seats.
But I'll be happy to watch the game, though.
But you'll be happy to watch. I mean, they started playing in Tokyo, if I'm not mistaken. And I heard ESPN was going to show some of their games. But baseball's come a long way, Jonathan. And as we grow up and grow older, and we've seen the divisions change, and I've always complained that I think playing your division rival 19 times is a little outrageous. And back in the day, it was 14. Now, you kept adding more teams as years gone by. You know, we saw the Rockies and Marlins come into play. And last week we had a caller called Rick Allen, who wrote a book called One Pitch about the 1-year Seattle Pilots. And he wrote a book about them and how they went bankrupt after 1 season in 1969. And on April Fool's Day of 1970, the team was sold to Bud Selig, and they moved the team to Milwaukee. And if you look back and you see, and and with your sports stuff, like, we had all the teams here in the tri-state area, which is what California is now. We had that. We had the taste of the Yankees, the Giants, the Dodgers, and then the Mets came in, and the 2 teams went out to California. So everything has changed. The stadiums, no more cookie cutter stadium. Everything is corporate. Everything is PSL seats, and I got to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars because I work security at Shane City Field and MetLife Stadium, and I've heard the fans complain why I got to spend all this and how this stadium doesn't look good. It reminds me of Evetts Field, but the Wilpons grew up in Brooklyn where I did, and I think the father went to Lafayette High School, the same school I went to, or wherever he went. But it's come a long way, and I personally miss the old Yankee Stadium. I've been to the new one. I don't get that feel of the house that Root built. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the new Yankee Stadium, I mean, listen, they spend billions on these things, right? The new Yankee Stadium is more of a museum to me. It's like a big concrete museum.
Yeah. When
you stand outside of it, you don't get that, wow, I'm at Yankee Stadium. And even as a Met fan, when you go there with the history,
you don't miss you miss that big bat everybody used to meet me by the big bat outside the avenue there, by the parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so it takes away from it a little bit, for sure. I'm with you. I think the biggest change for me, the hardest change, has been the amount of money just to go. I think that Shea's the last 3 games they played at Shea Stadium. I was a huge Carlos Delgado fan, so when the Mets signed him, I mean, he was in his later years. He wasn't the bomber that he was in Toronto, but
he was hitting them out.
Wanted to go see him play. Yeah, I just remember, those last 3 games. Going to the game, it still wasn't even that much to go. And you're talking about 06, 07, right? So 13 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And now it costs an arm and a leg. If I want to take my wife to a game just to go to the stadium and get a feel for it, or go with friends, you're spending hundreds. You're spending $40 to $60 on a parking pass. You're spending hundreds of dollars to get in the game. You're spending $13 on a beer, right, and $10 on a hot dog. It's not, the feel of it is so different, and it's not. It's almost more enjoyable to sit down and watch on TV inside the comfort of your own surroundings and have friends and family over for a big game versus going to one. I think that takes a lot away from it. The experience also for the connection we have with baseball, so it's tough. There's like you said, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said so much is changing, so much has changed. And even back to the last question with no fans in the stands, I mean, it's a new day, which is crazy to say, and scary in some sort of ways. And I think it will get back to some sort of normalcy, hopefully. But in the meantime, while they have no fans, it'll almost give us an opportunity anyway to watch the games in the atmosphere that I'm getting so used to watching it because I haven't been able to go to a live game. So my biggest complaint now is the expense and the enjoyment with going to the stadium and just being able to get to feel like an old school feel, like you were saying. Everything is blah, and then now the amount of money that you're paying a player, as you guys said also, to hit 225,
Right.
and you look at it and you want to throw up. You're like, you're paying a guy $300 million and he hits 240. You're like, you're thinking to yourself, I mean, listen, the Yankees signed Mickey Mantle for $1,500, right? Now, we know this was back in the day, of course, but just think about it, how different. Mickey Mantle, a generational player, 1,500. And you have a guy who hits 230 and gets $300+ million to just hopefully hit home runs. So it's a different day. It's I guess you gotta take it for what it is now and just sort of change your mentality on it. I want to know. I have a question for you guys. How do you feel about the players when they hit a home run, throwing the bats and the bat flips and the crazy celebrations every home run, the Jose Bautista, infamous bat flip that he had? How do you guys feel about that?
Me personally, I don't like it. That's not how watching the game when I was little, all the way up to now, with my age at 40. I'm not used to seeing that. I say, all right, you hit the bomb, you make your expression, but you drop the bat and you run around the bases, nice steady trot, not just staring in the box, just looking at it, making a pose. But when Batista did that, right, and he shows up the pitcher and the team, next at bat, first pitch, you get drilled. That's a concussion.
That's the fight they had with the Rangers, right?
Yeah.
When he slid it to second,
Yep.
the guy punched him in the face.
Yeah. If you show up a pitcher, okay, I got a ball, I'm gonna drill you. If you don't like it, don't show me up. And I hear, oh, you let them play. That's the new age we're in. No. Because it's different from other sports. I got a ball that I could throw 95 to 100+ miles per hour, throw it the wrong way, and I could kill you. It's wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Just like Stanton. Stanton's lucky he's still alive after that. When he got hit with that ball with the Marlins.
Because that's how one guy is going to be pissed off so hard that he may throw it, and some damage may happen. What do you think, John?
So I'm glad you guys said that because I actually have a different take, and I definitely want your thoughts on it. Okay. So I go to the game, I spend a lot of money.
Right.
I sit down, I spend more money. The game is a little monotonous, right? It's a strike, it's a ball, whatever the case may be, it's a strikeout. Okay. A guy hits a dinger, and he launches the bat, and the crowd goes nuts, right? Now, knowing he's probably putting himself in harm's way in the next at bat, like you said, but he almost brings everybody back to life.
Yeah,
now,
that's that
right.
emotion.
Okay.
That's the adrenaline inside the hitter. I would imagine.
Yeah.
That's like you getting a no hitter. You're gonna have that adrenaline rush,
Yeah.
and sometimes when you get that rush,
Right.
you don't know where you are. You don't know what you're doing sometimes. So I see his point of view as well as yours, and I get what he's saying. So I understand your point of view, but do it in a way like you said.
You've done it before.
You've done it, but it's hard. It's like a 50-50 kind of split now, because I get both point of views on what he's saying. But I never seen anybody on the Yankees. I know Joey Bats did it. His was the famous one, right? Where he just stood there, said something, and just held the bat for a while and threw it, right?
Yeah. Now, if it's like, say, in the bottom of the ninth, and you're the home team, and it's a walk-off, be all my guess. But if it's not in the ninth, bottom of the ninth, and you're not the home team, and say if it's like in the fifth or sixth, then tone it down a little bit. But it's.
You know what? And you know what's funny? Like Jonathan said, and don't forget this. It's competition as well.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes you don't know if the hitter and the pitcher have a long history together. And all right, he got me a few times before. Watch what I'm gonna do.
Right.
So I get Jonathan, I get your point of view and I get yours, Carl. And it's like that.
Yeah,
it's on that fine line right there. It could go either way.
See, I think that that's what it is for me. I think as a fan, I want my players to have the ultimate edge, right?
Right.
So you're rooting for that. You grew up loving it. It's a passion that even we have as fans, which is the root of the word fanatic. So you're going crazy for your team while you're sitting on the couch or in the stadium. Your guy gets up to the plate, he hits this home run, launches the bat, looks in his dugout, gets the guys juiced up, and even as a fan, I mean, I caught myself a couple times. I'm sure you guys have too. Someone does something outrageous, you jump off the couch, and the first thing you scream is, "Let's go!" So you know, obviously the guy's probably going to get beamed his next time up because all these whatever unwritten rules for the last 130 years, whatever it is. But you're almost saying to yourself, the guy knows he's getting thrown at, doesn't care. The guy's team is either down or has no energy, bringing it back. Comes up clutch, has ice in his veins, and he gets you juiced up. And just as a fan, period, I love it. Like it gets me back in to where I want to be as a fan. So I saw Joey Bats, and listen, like I said, I'm a Mets fan. It's inconsequential to me what a Blue Jays player does. He hits a home run, and you know that when another player gets you up off your seat, he did something legit, right? So you get up and you immediately call your friend, or you go on social media now, right? Your phone is probably attached to your ear at all points, or your hand. So you go on and you watch the bat flip 38 times. You message your friend, "Dude, did you just see what he did?" So it's like that day and age. Someone does something and instantaneously you have 25 million reactions. So I think that's the part for me that I enjoy. I love old school players, which I think is weird to probably hear because I have a new school mentality on it. I love old school players only because they played with their teams forever. And we don't have that anymore. Free agency has killed that for us, period. Yep. But to see it now a little bit fun, I would have loved to have seen, somebody. I would love to have seen Mike Piazza, crank a home run out. He always used two hands, someone with two hands on the bat, crank a home run out and just launch the bat at somebody. Like launched it at his dugout, stared at it, go. I mean, come on. In the Subway Series against the Yankees, I would have just loved to have seen it. But all those guys played with a certain set of rules, So I think that's in my mind a nice flair, but that's me.
Okay, here's a good one for you. Being you're a Met fan, give us your all-time Met team and go around the diamond.
Oh man. Okay, so closer we're going Franco, right?
Mm-hmm.
John Frank Gattu. Catcher, Piazza.
Okay.
Second base, Well, shortstop definitely Ray Ordonez because the guy never missed anything. I'm gonna have to say Edgardo Alfonso,
A second.
uh, Carlos Beltran. In the outfield, specific positions in outfield. Um, I think Andy Chavez just because of the catch. I'll give it to my man Andy Chavez. Pitchers, we've had so many greats. Where do you start with pitchers? I mean, we've had guys like Nolan Ryan come through. You have Seaver, you have even DeGrom now. You have so many. So
You had Badalak, Kuzman.
Yeah, you pick it. First base is a tough one. So first base, a guy I grew up loving, and like I said, when we were able to pick up Carlos Delgado, that was to me one of the best pickups. Period. The Mets had done, even though it was later in the career. I think the leadership. So I would say that would be my team. David Wright on third. Man, do I go David Wright? Did he play long enough? Keith Hernandez is another staple. What could Jose Reyes have been? Man, so many. Just thinking, I'm going to leave so many guys out, and I'm going to get killed for this. Strawberry, before he obviously snorted himself into the ground. John Olerud, a stud first baseman.
Oh, yes.
John Olerud, many people forget, but he was a defensive specialist.
Yep.
Man, who else? Who else played for the Mets?
You had Alomar for a bit at second. You had Mo Vaughn.
Yeah, those guys they were in the super tail end. Ken Griffey Jr. was my favorite player growing up. Right, when he went to Cincinnati, it was almost my chance to see him because he
almost hit me with a line drive when I worked at Shea. I was on the field during batting practice, and I just got missed getting hit in the head by a line drive by him during batting practice.
Could you imagine the story? You know what I mean? Like what a tragic but epic story at the same time. Like getting hit by a ball by arguably one of the greatest players of all time. But
exactly.
when
hey, you want to sign this for me after you hit it?
Yeah, I'm on my way to the hospital, but you mind autographing this for me, man? It's epic. I know there's blood on it, but ignore it. Just sign next to it. But it's epic. Like I said, I mean, I know I'm forgetting some. Gary Carter,
Yep.
Doc Gooden, but those guys that I grew up watching. I mean, Ray Ordonez, he scooped everything up. He couldn't hit. He literally couldn't hit. I could probably stand at the plate and hit better than him. I gotta say his lifetime average is 210. Someone check on it.
He
it's pathetic, but
no, he couldn't hit.
He couldn't hit. But Edgardo, like I said, Edgardo Alfonso, David Wright, and that's a toss-up because they were both third base, but maybe moving Edgardo to second. So that's what I would go with. That would be the team. But listen, it's I don't know, Sal. You're a Yankee fan, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously,
it's hard. It's like our three teams that we like. There was so many good players on the Phillies, the Yankees, and Mets. It's hard. Like, sometimes I post, even without us being on, we were doing the greatest before Carl came back. MLB Web was posting, the greatest first basemen of each team. Position by position, each player, your best top 5. And they left out a lot of guys, and I'm like, wow, what happened to, you go to shortstop or second base on the Yankees. Oh, what happened to Willie Randolph? Oh, what happened with Mattingly and this other guy? It's weird who's off the list. And the Yankees had so many great players, Root, DiMaggio. You'll never see anybody get a 56-game hit streak. Will anybody break, Ripken's record?
No.
That was on TV, and when he broke the longest consecutive. There's a lot of records you won't see anymore. I don't think you'll see the home runs anymore. You'll never see anybody with the stolen bases anymore.
No.
So
No,
and the game has changed on that aspect as well as what for the records. And I think Trout, what has he got career wise in home runs now? About 200-300?
Yeah, he's got to be 250, 300 around
Nah,
there.
I think he's over 300 already.
Is he over 3?
Because he's been hitting like 30 plus a season. How many years has he been in the league, in the game? How long? Because he came right out of high school.
Him and Hopper came in the same time, right?
So I think Trout's 29. I think Trout came right out of high school.
You see Trout being the new home run king, I guess.
Yeah, if he stays healthy. If he stays healthy, yeah.
Legit.
Yeah,
legit.
The guy's
king.
got it. Who else could? Realistically, who else right now in the game that you see plays the amount that he does? Now, granted, he's had some injuries, right? But who else could you see on a consistent basis? Do what he does? I can't even imagine.
I think
if Judge didn't get hurt, he might have.
I think Albert has 680 plus home runs.
Does he really?
Yeah, he's up there. I think he's 680. I think.
I like what they did in St. Louis when they had the interleague game against the Angels, and they gave him the loudest ovation, and him and who's the catcher there?
Yachty.
They were hugging each other. It was great. It was very emotional.
I think he's got six. I think he's over 680 plus. I think for Albert.
Wow. You know what? He's the craziest part. I think obviously because he went to the American League, I think it eased the pain a little bit for the change from St. Louis to Los Angeles, knowing they weren't going to see him. Interleague play was so few and far in between with those games. I think it's super classy when an organization is able to obviously honor what a pro athlete does for them and the city. He's one of those guys that gave a lot back to the community too. From what I read, he's one. Like I actually had the opportunity to meet Aaron Judge, and phenomenal guy, phenomenal. He seemed true through and through. And even when I jokingly brought up fantasy baseball to him, at the time he was injured. And I said, listen, I have you on my fantasy baseball team. And he looked at me and he actually apologized.
Oh, wow.
And I said, why? He said, listen, I've been hurt this whole year. I haven't done anything for you. And I'm like, Aaron, it's fantasy baseball. You know what I mean? Like, your health is much more important than fantasy baseball. But the guy had the wherewithal, even if he meant it or not, it doesn't matter, to just look at a fan or somebody who was there with him to apologize because he didn't. It was really, really cool. And the Yankees always have that ability, right, to sort of find the next guy. I mean, where do you find Jeter from? Seriously, come on. The guy was never in the newspapers, not one time, for doing anything wrong. Then you have Aaron Judge step in. Every organization struggles to find one guy every 50 years. The Yankees seem to find it every 15 to 20, so it's cool. Even though he's across town, so to speak, it's definitely cool to see. I think seeing greatness, people don't appreciate it as they should, but Albert Pujols was definitely a rare treat. Not many people remember him coming on the scene, but
I like
the
that.
Guy was.
Yep. I like that with the Mets with Mr. Alonso, and
yeah.
He's gonna be their face, and along with Trout and Judge, he's in there with them. Great.
You think in your opinion, Alonso? David Wright came on the scene. Obviously, him and Reyes. David Wright was Mr. Met, for a long time. But you think he definitely has the staying power to be what David Wright was for the Mets, or more? You think so?
Yeah.
Wow.
If they treat
that'd be great.
If he gets treated the right and proper way, he ran away with the town already. He was a big hit already. Why they waited a couple of years to bring him up, I don't know. I'm not in their farm team, but there was a lot of talk about him, and I was like, be careful that and he broke the rookie season, and that was great, the home run.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I went to one of the games where the game that he actually tied or hit 50. Sorry, and that was huge. I
Yep.
went with a buddy of mine, and it was fun. The atmosphere, just to hopefully watch it, was something special for sure. I hope, man. I hope Alonso ends up being it. I hope Judge stays healthy. I hope Alonso stays healthy. I hope some of these guys, Mike Trout stays healthy. If for nothing else, than just a game. My next one for you guys as a team, I'm curious because this is like a debate I have with a lot of baseball guys around me. Christian Yelich essentially came out of nowhere and then won the league MVP, right? So he came from the Marlins. He was a hitter or whatever, a slap hitter, kind of like an Ichiro type of guy.
Hmm.
You think that that he has the ability to sustain what he was doing before he went down this year? The guy was on an absurd pace with hits, home runs, RBIs, and runs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's another one. If he don't get hurt,
You think so?
yeah, if he stays healthy, he's
Yeah.
gonna be doing the same numbers he did the past 2
You
seasons.
got him, and then you got what's his name on the Rockies.
Arenado.
Yeah.
Well, look where he's
I
playing.
know, he's a
So
big-
it's like
yep.
these guys. It's all about staying healthy, and with nobody playing right now, everybody's been guys who have been on the disabled list have been working on their way back, and I think a lot of these guys are already, except for the ones unfortunately have to have Tommy John surgery. So just think of the team the Marlins did have before they got rid of all these guys. They would have been a scary force to be reckoned with.
Stacked. Those teams were loaded, man. Miguel Cabrera, when he was a rookie, was there.
Yep.
They won
Don
two World
Lester.
Series. Yeah, 2 World Series, and they got rid of the team the following year. They did the garage sale.
Yeah, those teams were, man. I just to think the hitters on those teams and the pitchers. Oh wow, good call on that one. By the way, I completely forgot about those Marlins teams. Those teams were loaded. Yeah, you're right. Complete fire sale, right? And what they win it 7 years later again? 7 or 10?
What was it?
6 years. They won it in '97 and
In
2003.
2003 against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium.
right.
Josh Beckett,
Yeah,
the killer from the Red Sox.
that's crazy. That's crazy. Man, oh man. Listen, it's the sport's different. You can't, as a Yankee fan, you can't even deny, enjoying watching guys like Big Papi. Right? Like, come on. The game is, these guys are just a dying breed, Manny Ramirez, whoever remembers him and his greatness, even back in Cleveland and when he went to Boston, the guy is like 48,000 years old, right? And he still plays baseball in Taiwan professionally. Like, they're just diehards, these guys. There's no end. So, who was his name? Julio Franco?
Yeah.
I think was playing at 52 years old for the Braves, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can check it, whatever. But
the healthiest guy
guys,
this guy was healthy.
Yeah.
He took care of himself.
Yeah, go ahead, John. I got one more. I want to go back to the question I asked you a little while ago, about what the players are going to do when teams, how they're going to fly to the other cities, if they're going to do independent team charters, or what they're going to do.
So listen, I think it depends on what the powers that be tell us is good, right? So it'd be cool to think that they're going to take the old school bus route, right? Like the teams of the old days, get on the bus and just
we
travel.
get on the bus like
cool.
the minor league teams do.
Yeah, because go ahead. Because as I know so far, he didn't lift the travel to with the airport. So I don't know what they're going to do if they have to go to let's say Tampa. They might have to do. Hopefully, they have a team plane, because that's the only way they can get down there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, every team at this point, they're owned by billionaires, So
Yeah.
I think that they'll have their own charter. I think that they'll land in the middle of an airport with nobody around, and I think that they'll just put down the door and sort of just walk off the plane. It'd be silly not to, especially with with what's going on and how to travel for the teams. Like I said, I think selfishly, I think it would add a lot of excitement. And even being so, if anybody was smart that's listening to this right now, they would do some live documentaries as the teams are traveling on a bus and sort of interact with the players. And I think it would add a lot for baseball to do that. Where some of the fans can sort of see the behind the scenes, the struggles.
Right.
A lot of the trials of traveling by bus. I think it'd
Right.
be cool. No one can tell us that traveling by plane is a struggle. Like, let's be serious. You're traveling on a private charter, you'll be okay. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you need to get to another city that night or the next night. Like, you're going to be fine. But traveling on a bus it's
That's a
got
little weary. Yep.
which so I think it's interesting to see. And then if they're traveling by bus, do they change the schedule a little bit? Do they stretch it a little bit to accommodate that because of it? Do they shorten the season? What do they do? Do they answer accordingly? Because you remember the baseball players have a union.
Right.
So does the union say, well, we're not standing for this? We're not going to travel by bus.
Right.
We're divas, blah, blah, blah. So who knows? Who knows what's to be? I'd like to see them travel by bus. To answer your question, I think it'd be cool. And I think they should do like a little docu-series about it. On Facebook, on whatever, I don't know what they'll use, but I think it'd be cool and air it. The team should put it together and sort of really give us a behind the scenes. I think it'd be exciting. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll take some sort of private charter. People will be waiting in masks on the ground to help them get off, escort them off, travel with them, get them to where they got to get to. And the other thing is, at that point, are hotels open? And are the players allowed to stay in the hotels, or are the teams responsible for renting out places for them? And if we can go watch games, do stadiums specifically block out certain seats, knowing they'll be 6 to 10 feet away from each other? So if it's aisle 18 and there's 20 seats in aisle 18, can you only buy 5 tickets from aisle 18? I'm curious. I really am. I'm curious to see how it ends up being. But I'll tell you what, I tell you the promising thing. I think baseball is the first sport to come back, and I think it's the least congested. You have players spread out on a baseball field, right? They each have their own position, and even when there's a batter and he gets on base, it's one guy next to each other, and that guy can sort of stand away from him. The umps can wear masks. I think the only thing is everyone touching the same baseball, but as long as they're not licking their fingers before they throw a pitch. I think we'll see baseball back before any of it. So I think that's really promising. Sal, you talk about the Miracle Network, and the nonprofit that I work for. Baseball is such a big part of our organization.
It's
I'm sure
the great.
that
It's
one
the
you were
great
speaking of as
American
well,
pastime.
So I think it's important to get baseball back. I think it's important for us to be safe and healthy, for sure.
Yes.
I think done the right way is paramount. But I think getting baseball back it's like priority number one in the sports world, for sure. Football, you have a few months. Basketball, come on. I mean, there's like 10 sweaty guys like literally climbing on top of each other, so there's no shot. And hockey, the toughest players in the world are hockey players. They lose teeth and keep moving, but I don't really know the logistics. Can they do it? Can they not? I don't know, probably. But I think baseball's promising, man. I think baseball's promising, and I think talking baseball is even more prominent, guys. So,
all right, Jonathan, we want to thank you for calling in, and if you want, call back next week. Come down live if you like, whatever you want to do, and bring some of your sports stuff with you.
Absolutely, man. Listen, I really I appreciate the both of you guys having me on the show, letting me talk baseball with you guys, letting me plug my business in there, for sure. I will be more than happy at any moment in time coming down there, bringing some stuff, even for you guys to have it at the studio. It was great talking with both of you. Stay healthy and stay safe, and God willing, we can get back on the baseball field soon.
All right, Jonathan. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thanks,
Ladies
guys.
and
Have a good
gentlemen,
night.
Jonathan Entel
Yeah.
is with us live. And Cole, take us away and take us home.
All right, we want to thank Gene, Ruben, and Muck in the back for producing our show tonight. We'll see everyone next Thursday night, 8 o'clock. Tune in and call whoever wants to be on the show. Have a good night.